Right now, an object nearly 3 times the size of Mount Everest is decelerating across the solar system, against every known law of celestial mechanics. Its trajectory, once smooth and predictable, now shows a controlled reduction of 12 meters per second. NASA's deep space radar confirms what should be impossible. Something out there has decided to slow down. At 3:47 a.m. Universal Time, an array of telescopes scattered across 3 continents recorded something extraordinary. A faint, fast-moving blur gliding through the blackness between Mars and Jupiter. Its velocity was staggering, 121,000 miles per hour, a speed too high to belong to any object born of our solar system. Within hours, orbital analysts confirmed what many suspected. This was not a comet, not an asteroid, but something else entirely. Designated 3I Atlas, it became the 3rd confirmed interstellar visitor ever to cross into our celestial neighborhood. But unlike its predecessors, Oumuamua and Borisov, this one behaved as though it had a mind. In the first week of observation, researchers noticed an irregularity, a subtle but consistent decrease in speed. The numbers were undeniable, a deceleration of 12 meters per second, measurable, deliberate, impossible. No natural mechanism, not outgassing, not radiation pressure, not tidal friction, could explain a uniform slowdown across such distances. The data suggested not chaos but control. At NASA's Goldstone Deep Space Communications Complex, radar echoes returned a pattern no one had ever seen. Each pass revealed a shift in the reflected signal, as though panels or surfaces were adjusting mid-flight. Computer models struggled to reconcile the readings. To maintain this course, the object would require thrust corrections carefully timed and sustained. And yet there was no plume, no ion trail, no thermal bloom. Just a silent deceleration against the vacuum's resistance, measured down to the millisecond. Speculation fractured the scientific world. Some claimed a dust mantle effect, others proposed unknown molecular sublimation. But the evidence refused to align with theory. The signature of the motion looked too clean, too consistent. It wasn't just slowing, it was stabilizing, as if preparing for something. Through the lenses of observatories in Chile, Hawaii, and Spain, 3I Atlas appeared as a faint, icy shard, light flickering across its surface like code. Its albedo varied not randomly but rhythmically, rising and falling every 42 minutes. Scientists mapped the flicker, searching for natural periodicity. None fit. The pattern matched no rotational model, no spin curve, no tumbling body. It was as if the object was signaling through light itself, adjusting its brightness with intent. By the 2nd month of observation, its path began to flatten. A gravitational assist from Jupiter should have accelerated it. Instead, it resisted the pull. In defiance of celestial mechanics, it braked as though applying an invisible counterforce. Instruments from the European Space Agency confirmed the anomaly. Across every data channel, the message was the same. This was a controlled deceleration. In press briefings, NASA scientists used careful language, anomalous kinematic behavior, non-gravitational influence, but behind closed doors, they faced a truth too large to contain in academic phrasing. For the first time in recorded history, something from beyond our star appeared to be making decisions. And then came the signal analysis. Buried within the Doppler data were micro-oscillations, repeating at perfect harmonic intervals, 32 seconds apart, unwavering. Not random noise, not interference. A pulse. The numbers aligned too precisely to dismiss, too deliberate to ignore. As the realization spread through laboratories and command centers across the world, a single question rippled through every corridor of science and philosophy alike. At 0.8 astronomical units from the Sun, 3I Atlas drifts through the light, a pale silhouette against the solar wind, its surface flashing in subtle intervals like the heartbeat of a machine. The reflected light isn't random. Spectrographic analysis reveals discrete metallic absorption bands, narrow, deliberate, and uniform, signatures unlike anything seen in carbonaceous or silicate bodies. Each band reflected a ratio that suggests geometry, not geology. Across NASA's Deep Space Network, data flows into arrays of waiting servers. In the spectrum of light, the object begins to reveal its fingerprints, a lattice of wavelengths ordered and rhythmic. It reflects not as rock but as something that responds. When sunlight strikes, the albedo changes, cycling through measurable phases, bright, dim, bright again, as though panels were orienting themselves, maintaining energy equilibrium. These shifts are too precise to be chaos. They are behavior. Thermal mapping deepens the puzzle. The infrared signatures flicker, cold zones blooming and fading in regular cycles every 90 minutes. Heat dispersion, periodic and targeted. In natural comets, heat spreads chaotically, driven by sublimation and solar exposure. Here the pattern follows a pulse. It appears to breathe, warming, cooling, repeating, a signature known only in systems that regulate their own thermal output. The world's observatories converge in silence. Data centers at CERN, the European Space Agency, and Japan's JAXA compare notes. Every reading aligns. The object is not accelerating under gravity alone. It's performing controlled maneuvers, minute corrections beyond any conceivable natural origin. The magnitude of the energy required dwarfs any propulsion system humanity has ever imagined. A sustained force, subtle but consistent, applied across millions of kilometers, producing motion by design. In press releases, agencies remain cautious. Anomalous reflectivity, unexplained, photometric modulation. But behind those words lies the unspoken implication that grips every physicist awake at 3 a.m. If 3I Atlas is acting with precision, then somewhere behind that precision must exist intention. The debates fracture institutions. Some claim it's an exotic crystalline body, perhaps one shaped by tidal forces in alien interstellar conditions. Others whisper the forbidden phrase artificial construct, a probe, a relic, a vessel. The thought is almost too large to process, yet the data refuses to retreat. Each measurement deepens the strangeness, and then a new anomaly emerges. In the Doppler shift data, radio technicians detect a repeating modulation, faint but deliberate. Not electromagnetic communication in the classical sense, no carrier wave, no encoded packet, but a rhythmic pulse embedded in the very motion of the object. Every exact millisecond, its deceleration pauses, then resumes. A perfect temporal rhythm, constant across all observation windows. It isn't broadcasting a signal. It's using physics itself as language, communicating not through transmission but through motion. The deceleration becomes syntax. Each thrust a syllable. The object speaks through the laws of momentum. Within the silence of the cosmos, a realization begins to take form. The pattern isn't random and it isn't noise. It's structured, predictable, purposeful. And what begins as a mechanical curiosity transforms into something far deeper, a message, written not in light or sound, but in the deliberate slowing of a traveler from the stars. At 16 astronomical units from the sun, 3I Atlas continues its impossible ballet through the cold black. Its velocity, once blistering, now glides at a measured, almost deliberate pace. The data tells a quiet story. Every deceleration event occurs at precise intervals, not approximate but exact, within a tolerance smaller than a millionth of a second. What began as random fluctuations in thrust becomes, under scrutiny, a pattern, a rhythm. Mathematicians begin mapping these fluctuations, plotting each burst of deceleration as a point on a temporal graph. What emerges silences the room. The ratios between each interval mirror prime number separations. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, the fundamental constants of mathematics. The universal language of logic. In every test, the primes reappear. In the timing, in the micro-thrust amplitudes, even in the faint modulations of radar reflection. This isn't a natural oscillation. It's a message written in movement. NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory constructs a simulation to interpret the data. They feed months of telemetry into quantum-based pattern recognition algorithms. The result is staggering. The object's braking phases spiral inward in ratios matching the Fibonacci sequence, a series that governs growth in nature, from the whirls of galaxies to the shells of living creatures. It is order emerging from void, symmetry rising from silence. To find it encoded in the motion of an interstellar traveler feels almost intentional, as if the cosmos itself were whispering through mechanics. But a more profound hypothesis begins to take shape. Perhaps 3I Atlas is not arriving at all. Perhaps it is synchronizing. Its trajectory, when extrapolated, points to a terminal deceleration just beyond the orbit of Neptune, near the heliopause, the invisible frontier where the solar wind meets the interstellar medium. The object appears to be adjusting its velocity, not to intersect Earth, but to match the Sun's gravitational frame. It behaves like a vessel aligning with orbit, a visitor slowing to observe before crossing a border. In laboratories around the world, scientists run simulations under every conceivable assumption: outgassing, magnetic drag, radiation recoil. None reproduce the precision of the pattern. The probability of a natural origin dwindles towards zero. Yet with every deceleration phase, the rhythm grows more complex, almost conversational, as if responding to unseen variables. Could it be reacting to solar conditions, to planetary alignments, or impossibly to us? The philosophical implications fracture even the most disciplined minds. Mathematics has always been humanity's one true universal, a language beyond culture, beyond biology. If an object uses primes and Fibonacci intervals to express motion, it implies recognition of that same logic. The symmetry between their code and ours is haunting. It suggests awareness. Through the vast emptiness, 3i Atlas now drifts like a thought suspended in the void, an idea written in velocity, unfolding in time. Telescopes record its every microsecond, searching for the next variable in its language. Then, as its speed drops below solar escape velocity, something new emerges from its silhouette, a faint glimmer detaching from the primary body. At 4.3 billion kilometers from the Sun, in the frozen expanse beyond Neptune, 3i Atlas drifts in silence. But on the 182nd day of observation, a flash, faint yet unmistakable, ripples through the darkness. Within minutes, the James Webb Space Telescope locks its instruments onto the anomaly. The readings defy expectation. From the object's shaded hemisphere, a smaller body detaches with deliberate precision. Its dimensions are exact, 120 meters in diameter, smooth, nearly featureless. It does not tumble. It orbits. Infrared imaging reveals no signs of fragmentation or impact. This is not a comet shedding debris. The new body maintains a stable formation, hovering in synchronous motion beside its parent, a perfect harmonic pair. The trajectory data describes elegance, not accident. No gravitational instability, no chaotic drift. It behaves like a module rejoining its mothership, a motion too controlled to belong to mere rock. Analysts run thermal scans. The smaller object reflects almost nothing, its albedo near zero, as if cloaked in material designed to absorb light across every wavelength. Yet faint pulses emerge from the microwave band, oscillations repeating every 1.8 seconds, modulating with mathematical precision. The frequencies match those detected earlier in 3i Atlas's breaking rhythm. Two entities now move in perfect synchronization, their signals locked in coherent phase alignment, an exchange of energy or information. To the scientific community, the implications are staggering. If this is a natural event, it violates every model of celestial mechanics. If it's not, then humanity is witnessing an act of engineering unfolding light years from home. The smaller object appears to be positioning itself at an equidistant vector, a classic behavior of communication relays or sensor probes. Its emissions sweep outward in a conical pattern, each beam intersecting the parent body, forming a geometry unmistakably intentional, a network forming in deep space. Theorists propose bold ideas. Could 3i Atlas be deploying an instrument to survey the solar system? Is it mapping gravitational gradients or establishing a line of contact? The symmetry of the two objects, one radiant, one dark, evokes a system of complementarity, source and receiver, transmitter and eye. Each frequency shift feels orchestrated, like musical notes in a cosmic duet. Weeks pass. Both bodies stabilize into an intricate orbital dance, rotating around a shared barycenter with near-perfect precision, a maneuver impossible for unassisted mass. The energy needed to achieve such equilibrium suggests a guiding intelligence or an autonomous process capable of adjusting in real time. Whatever force governs their motion is silent, deliberate and incomprehensibly advanced. And then, the unexpected. As the pair settles into formation, Earth's deep space radio arrays begin detecting something new. A low-frequency pulse cutting through the cosmic background, faint yet deliberate. Unlike the earlier kinetic code, this one travels as a true electromagnetic wave, its signal time-aligned with the emission bursts observed between the two objects. Directional analysis confirms what many had feared and hoped to hear. The pulse is not diffused across space. It's targeted, narrowing through the solar system. Its beam aligned unmistakable. It begins with a whisper beneath the static, a faint tremor in the fabric of space itself. In the aftermath of the directed pulse from 3I Atlas, the world's radio telescopes, from the Atacama Plateau to the high Arctic, register an anomaly. The cosmic microwave background, once the most constant hum in the universe, now shivers with quiet harmonics. Patterns appear where there should be none. Small measured oscillations ripple across the spectrum, structured, deliberate, and unignorable. For days, the signal remains hidden beneath cosmic noise, buried in what seems like randomness. But machine learning arrays trained to detect non-human structure begin to recognize rhythm, order within absence. The intervals between each resonance are mathematically perfect, aligning with ratios that cannot arise from thermal radiation or background interference. It is as though the message exists not in sound but in silence. Scientists describe it as a message woven into the void. The meaning lies not in the tone, but in the timing. Pulses separated by harmonic multiples of one another, echoing the same numerical cadence first seen in 3I Atlas's deceleration phases. A cosmic metronome, steady, patient, eternal. And then comes the revelation that silences every laboratory. The sequence repeats once every 86,400 seconds, the exact length of a terrestrial day. A pattern bound not to the stars but to Earth itself. Coincidence becomes untenable. The implication is chillingly intimate. Something, or someone, is aware of our rotation. Around the world, debates fracture the scientific and philosophical landscape. Some argue 3I Atlas is a messenger, a silent envoy awaiting confirmation from another species, capable of recognizing its mathematical dialect. Others propose it is an observer, a watcher that has drifted between civilizations, calibrating itself to new skies, recording, remembering. There are those who go further, who whisper that it may be a relic, an orphaned artifact of a civilization so old that its makers are long gone, leaving behind only their machines to roam the cosmic dark. Within deep space monitoring networks, the object remains still. 3I Atlas and its companion drift between orbits like sentinels in a frozen vigil. Every spectrum, infrared, microwave, gamma, reports the same serenity. No new thrust, no emission, no decay, just presence. As if the message has been sent, and now the universe itself is holding its breath. Governments, space agencies, and private networks attempt coordinated replies, narrowband transmissions aimed at the last known coordinates. Yet the cosmos gives no answer. The silence deepens, thickens, becomes a question that hangs heavier with each passing day. Has the message already been received? Or is the sender still waiting, patient beyond measure for a language we have not yet learned to speak? And somewhere beyond Neptune, 3I Atlas turns ever so slightly, not drifting but aligning. Instruments detect a microscopic shift in orientation, as though the object's attention has moved. Not outward, inward, toward the source of the signals now emanating from Earth.